Hello and welcome to the Kundalini podcast. That was Zen. This is Tao. I'm Vivek Govik. Namaste. This is episode 180. Look at this. I just want to show you. I don't know. Camera. Look at that. Look at the sunset out there. Isn't it beautiful? Yeah, so thought I'd make an episode. It's been a while. And I have a bunch of stuff to talk about. Found a new job. As you can tell, I'm a little cleaned up. I'm not pure yogi anymore. I'm a working man / yogi. Hyphenated. Okay, so interesting topic entered my mind about Samsara is Nirvana. I have made an episode about that. Check it out in the previous channel. Samsara is Nirvana. And that chapter or that episode is kind of a prerequisite. If you watch that episode, it'll be easier for you to follow because I'm going to continue almost like a sequel. More like as a Kundalini awakened being, the experiences I have can be distilled down to the progress made on the same principles that I have spoken about in the past. Right? Samsara is Nirvana, in short, was to tell people that the state of Nirvana, being enlightened, is no different from samsara, which is mundane reality. So mundane reality is itself nirvana. How so? You might ask. It's like being in trance at all times, being in samadhi at all times. And how do you get there? And people will say, don't be foolish. If you're driving a car, how can you meditate and be in trance? If you're working behind a cash register or doing some chores at your work, how can you be in trance, right? So it's not as if you're meditating in 1 minute and then the next minute you're working. Now, the tasks done to the best of your ability with single-minded devotion to only those tasks and doing the best job there without any mental clutter is itself samadhi. Can be elevated to the state of samadhi by doing it really well. So runners, people that run long distances talk about runner's high, or other athletes like basketball players talk about being in the zone, and I've spoken about that in other episodes briefly. So this is a similar concept. My goal through integral yoga has been to make every waking moment into prayer or samadhi meditation, and to make the best of the Kundalini awakening so that the person working in this moment, when he moves to the next moment, to another setting, for example, takes nothing, none of the baggage from one moment to the other. I've said the same thing in Samsara is Nirvana. You might find this a little superfluous, but I had to make a introduction to what concept I'm going to talk about. If you want more details, check out that episode. So, doing tasks well and grooving a muscle memory of those tasks. In one of the episodes on this channel last year, I have talked about muscle memory and using relaxation to the same degree as you use activity. And make sure that you are replenished mentally, emotionally, physically, that your exhaustion is taken care of, that you're not leaving any lingering doubts or thoughts in your mind. You're ready for the next thing that comes. And when you go back to the other activity, work, for example, you're ready for that. You've left everything from the previous activity behind, and now you're only at work. That, in a nutshell, that taken to its extreme in a good way, post Kundalini awakening, leads to that state of samsara is nirvana. And I was pleasantly surprised because I didn't have a regular job. I did odd things here and there, but not like a fixed job. And now I have that, and it has changed my life immensely. But the pleasant surprise, what I found out was the whole attitude clicked back in. The mindset of being in customer service, the mindset of being in tuned with all the tasks and doing them to the best of your ability, working with your colleagues, and all of those things just clicked back in because I had done those things before. And because I had spent so much time doing meditation and nothing else, I had the luxury to put integral yoga in practice in a laboratory crucible type setting, separate from regular reality. And now I'm back into regular reality, which is a job, a schedule, a commute, issues at the job, stress, and then getting out of that environment empty and completely filled with joy. So how do I do it? And you might want to check out that episode where I give an example about the soccer players, and one guy takes methodical care to do all these things and doesn't just wing it, go on the job. And other people, haphazardly kind of stumble through the routine and they may get mixed results. So my attitude at heading towards any task that requires my concentration and focus is always, I surrender to the Almighty. I don't exist. My ego doesn't exist. Vivek as a person doesn't exist there. It is simply an employee of that company. Well, the minute you put that uniform on, that's it. And then you go work and you're representing that place of employment. How this is important to think about is you suddenly switch from a person who is a photographer, person who makes YouTube videos, to now working with the restraints, constraints, necessities of doing that job well, expectations, aspirations, the ladder up management, and what is excellent behavior, what is going above and beyond, and how to attain it, how to learn each task well, how to make good relationships with your co-workers. And now the 2 years of meditation in the crucible, in the laboratory, comes in handy. So does the Wellbutrin, by the way. A combination of which has created an environment where, because of the medication, I don't fall into the pitfalls of the past. And because of the training with meditation and using breathing practices, and even doing 10-minute meditations when you have a break, lunch break, say, has been so well tuned that it fits perfectly within that work environment harmoniously. So now I'm not just saying this from the laboratory stage. I'm now saying it from the, put it in practice, tested it out in the field phase of it. So all those methods work. Positive affirmations going into work, do alternate nostril breathing, get all errant thoughts out, unrelated to that activity that you're about to embark on. Give it the seriousness needed. Switch off all your other inputs from your brain, thoughts, and you have techniques to do that. Now, but the prep is important. You prep yourself and walk in and make it happen, make it better. Now, when you do it that way, right there, from the get-go, you have prepped yourself well. You walk in and you're perfectly adjusted. Then you start work. Then those things click in automatically. And because you've given it over to God and surrender and all of those things and affirmations, you know how to respond at your optimum, at your prime. Right? Anybody can use these methods in their workplace. Go in prepared. Use positive affirmations, and as you do more and more meditation, mindfulness, and pranayama exercises of breathing, you'll get more and more focus and concentration on that task, and you'll understand what it means. It also helps to have the visualization that work is worship. So, as a sequel to the Samsara is Nirvana episode, I'd like to say work is worship. That's what I've called this video, this episode. So if you go with the attitude that work is worship, as opposed to, let's say, you just stroll in, you do something, then you're like, I wish I was somewhere else. All of those possibilities, that mental chatter related to a fragmented mind that is all over the place, not focused, those go away. You've already taken care of that. Because worship, if you're devout enough to God, every action you're doing, everything you pick up, every keystroke you type on the keyboard, every interaction with either a customer or a co-worker or some other business are in harmony with that worship, visualization. And then God does help you. My belief. Others may not. But if you're watching a Kundalini related channel, of course you believe in God. So first you ask for help, give yourself over, say, hey, help me out. Then do your best. And you can prep yourself well as if you're taking it seriously. And then it becomes samadhi as you work. And it's so in tune with what you're doing that you actually become better at what you're doing. But the only thoughts in your mind, like runner's high or being in the zone, are of work and what you're doing at that moment. And your laboratory training, when you go home, do mindfulness meditation, just clicks in. And for me, it's been 2 years, couple of years. COVID came, lots of disturbances, and now it's a regular going back to work kind of scenario. So all that training helped. Fortunately, I had chosen the right activities, thank you God, which are conducive to a better you, even after dealing with some hardship and being in a renunciant monk state of life. When you come back, by the very dint of those actions, the meditation, the mindfulness, the practice, the constant communion with the divine, you know how to handle this situation. In the past, in my own life, and what I've observed with other people, the difficulties arise when you don't elevate it to work is worship. If you're a non-believer, fine, you cannot. But if you're a believer, you're doing yourself a great disservice. I would be remiss not to point that out. If you haven't taken the effort to include work as an important part of worship. In most cultures, when you sit down to eat food, either before the meal or after the meal, or both, you thank God. And it's a beautiful service, and then the food tastes better. Then the food is enriched with some other energy of your belief, and now you're enjoying it, you're satisfying your hunger, and it's all done in a pleasant environment with the Almighty being invited to that meal. You're giving that offering to God, and then you eat it. So God eats it through you. Think of it that way. God tastes it through you. God shares that love with the people that are at your table and eat with you. Right? So the same concept can be carried to any activity. Why limit it to just food or other auspicious activities? When you start an action and pray before that, pray to God before the action, you know you're starting on the right track. Likelihood of you going wrong after that is minimized. Error correction, your own self-inflicted problems are at a minimum, because the divine hand is a wonderful force to have on your side. So if you make it into a daily habit and then bring in techniques like meditation, mindfulness, being in the moment, that you practice on a day-to-day basis and have the right controls of your body through breathing exercises, and know when to click those things when you face a certain situation. Okay, too many thoughts cluttering my mind, then I do the breathing. Too much of something going where my stress level goes up, start an affirmation. I am peace right here and now. I am calm right here and now. And because it has been working for the last couple of years through some very trying times, it clicks in very easily, because this is just a job. Not that it's not a difficult job or cannot be difficult at times, but definitely easier than dealing with the pandemic, when your employment and living situation are both uncertain. So in that situation, what has helped me helps me much, much better in an easier situation if I choose to use that. And of course now, because of the Kundalini awakening, I want to be in God in meditation at all times. So that integral yoga approach of Sri Aurobindo or Ken Wilber is easily realized now. But you need techniques. Switching from activity to activity, bringing the same level of divinity, bringing the same level of focus, ridding yourself of the baggage of the past, all have to be accomplished. And once you do that, samsara is nirvana. Work is worship. I hope you found this helpful. This is Vivek Govekar signing out. Peace, love, blessings. Diva.